Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Theater Enthusiast and Other Things podcast. My name is Allison, and this is my podcast. I am a huge theater nerd, hence the Theater Enthusiast, and I also am a fan of other things like TV, movie, films, pop culture, fashion. I also have a very large entertainment knowledge base, which actually shocks a lot of people I meet. It is very true. So one of the large things I want to do with this podcast is learn about different aspects of theater, because growing up as the theater fan that I was and going to shows and watching, movie musicals and all that, when I went to college, I really had no idea what I was getting into, and I felt like I wasn't really prepared. So that's kind of one of the things I want to do with this podcast, is have different people on every week who have studied theater, musical theater, who still pursue it, who do voiceovers, who write, direct, produce, who works at a Broadway theater, front of house, back of house, all of the things. I myself have done merchandise at Broadway shows. I have ushered at off-Broadway theaters. And I still see shows all the time. I sell theater tickets for a living, which is a story for another time. So every week I want to have somebody on who has worked some aspect in theater or who loves it as much as I do and pursues it. Other fun things we're going to do on this podcast is we're going to do something called Review It, where I myself or my guest or both of us will review a show we just saw, a movie, a television show, and we're going to give our 2 cents, guys. And it's going to be very exciting. We're also going to have, fun games. We're going to do a Q&A with the guests. Well, it's pretty much me asking questions, and then down the line, if this podcast does take off to even at least 20 people, and they have questions for the guest or even for me, we're going to do it. And it's going to be very exciting. And I'm very excited, as you guys should be as well. So without further ado, let me just get my applause app ready, guys, because, it's literally me and my guest. I would like to introduce my first guest ever to this podcast, as well as my test dummy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kerrie Bond-MacInnes.
Hello!
Yay! I'm going to let the app die down. Oh, the app really likes you.
They love me.
They love you, Kerrie.
They love me.
Kerrie, I'm going to stop it now. Yay! Well, not yay that it stopped, but yay. Kerrie, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell the kids at home about you.
Hello, my name is Kerrie Bond-MacInnes.
I'm sorry. I keep messing... She's been married, 5 years now, and I still mess up her last name.
It's okay. Nobody can pronounce it. We get MacInnes a lot from telemarketers and hotels.
MacInnes.
Yeah.
I had to think of Guinness, so it's Kerrie McGuinness.
That's the Irish version.
McGuinness. Well,
Yeah.
Her husband
Scottish.
is Scottish.
Yeah, so MacInnes.
McInnes. That's horrible.
But really, the important part of my name is Bond anyway. So.
Yeah. Tell the kids at home what your dad's name is.
It's true. My father's name is James Bond. He is the original James Bond, born in 1949. So
Maybe the book was based on him.
I think so. Little did everyone know that James Bond is actually a retired former restaurant owner.
And
so
American.
It's a secret. And American.
And American.
Yeah. Loves Trump, too.
Oh. I just
It's a curveball.
a little bit. I think I just scared our podcast. Our volume is very loud on this, guys. I apologize if we make you screech a couple of times, because we're still testing it out.
We just want to keep you on your toes.
I will say this podcast is probably going to be like the first season of The Office, or dare I say Parks and Rec, where it's good, but it's not going to get better until it goes. I'm fully aware I do not have intro music. I don't have any of that special stuff. It's just my voice, and I apologize now, because I feel like I'm getting a cold, and I think you can hear it a little in my voice, and it's very sexy. Just call me Fanny Buffet for today. Okay, so Kerrie, let's chat. You and I met at Pace.
Indeed.
We met 14 years ago, which I know scares the bludgers out of you. So let's start from the beginning. Your early childhood.
Oh my.
What is it that you love about theater?
Everything, kind of. So my mother...
Thank you, Russell Hammond. Sorry, I stole that question from Almost Famous, by the way, because it's, what is it you love about music? What is it you love about theater? And he goes, to begin with, everything.
I didn't even
It
know
is one of my favorite movies, guys, so I will be quoting many movies, I'm sure, during this podcast.
I'm so happy to accidentally quote it.
It's all good. Continue.
To begin with,
everything. Thank you, Billy Crudup.
Yes. I am
or
a golden
Colin
god.
Donnell in the musical. which we'll get into at some point. But continue. We're getting sidetracked.
Okay, so my mother's always been a big theater fan. She was the lead of all of her high school musicals. Is still sings today, and so she played show tunes my entire childhood. Les Mis was huge. That was always on in the background, which is super uplifting and explains a lot about me as a person.
You know what? It actually kind of does.
It kind of does, right?
And I've known you for so long.
Yeah. So what I've always loved about theater is that it's a way to escape. It's a way to kind of disappear into another universe. It's a way to express yourself. I sing at the drop of a hat constantly. I think my most favorite quote to my husband when we first started dating was, "Life is a musical, Roddy."
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, and he married me.
I know, and he even tolerates going to shows with you, which is very, very.
He does.
You got
He's
him to
very
act
sweet.
the other day too.
I did.
Which we'll get into later because we have a while. There's a lot to cover. So, do you remember what your first Broadway show was?
My first proper New York Broadway show was Chicago when I was 14.
I'm so sorry. Ironically, you want to know what mine was? I was 5. It was Les Mis. So maybe we were destined to be friends.
That was my second.
I will say for many years after that, though, I said to my mom for years, you never take a 5-year-old to see Les Mis. And then at one point, maybe like 20 years later, she was like, you need to get over it. But I did win tickets for the last revival of Les Mis, and I did take my mom.
Oh,
and
that's so nice.
Well, I know. I texted my mom a photo of Ramin with his shirt ripped open, and she goes, hello.
Yeah.
So she was excited.
It was a whole new Jean Valjean.
It was. I bought her a mug, and I have the magnet somewhere in my refrigerator. I can't find. I have a lot of magnets, guys.
It's very true.
You can't even see my refrigerator.
Yeah, not an understatement.
No, a lot of show magnets. I'm looking at Bloody right now. Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, for those who don't know it. One's Hades Town, American in Paris, Pretty Woman. That is my guilty pleasure musical, guys. Don't hate me. I've seen it many times, and I've also forced Kerrie to see it as well. Yeah. But it's okay. We saw Anna Pascal.
We do. It was worth it.
We did. And I met him, and I cried like a baby.
It's all
like
true.
that time you met Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
We're getting sidetracked again. So, did you always know you wanted to pursue theater?
Yeah, I mean, from as far back as I can remember, I remember being in like my kindergarten play, and I wanted to be the lead. Like I knew it was always something that I wanted to do in some capacity. So when I was looking at colleges, those are the only types of schools I looked at.
For musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide on Pace?
They accepted me.
Oh, was it the only school that accepted you?
I was waitlisted at a couple places, and then I auditioned for Pace like really late. I sent in a videotape, and then they like full out accepted me. And it's funny because everywhere else I applied was in Boston. I didn't apply to any other New York schools.
Where did you apply in Boston?
Emerson and Boston Conservatory and Suffolk and one other one.
I was going to go to Suffolk.
Really?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny if you and I went to Suffolk?
That would be
Maybe
crazy.
we would have been friends still.
I was accepted to Suffolk, but not for theater, so I didn't end up going.
I didn't tell my parents I wanted to do theater until after I was accepted into schools, which is another story for another time, guys. It's not about me today. Excuse me, again, sick. I applied for Suffolk and I got in, and and that was my top choice, and I was gonna go there.
That's so funny.
And then we went to Boston, and it just like wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And then my mom knew I was going to Pace when we went over the Brooklyn Bridge, and she saw my face.
Oh.
And then it wasn't until like however long later, like I think actually like a month or a few weeks before school started, where I auditioned for Pace. I auditioned for musical theater.
Oh,
I didn't get in, which I think is fine. Because I mean, not to sound however I'm going to sound, I know I have a pretty good voice.
It's true.
And, they're like, go into BA because you want to, do directing, you want to do a bunch of stuff. And then I ended up getting my BFA because I was taking all the BFA classes. And one of the professors, I was talking to him about, like, what classes I should take next semester. And this was junior year after I did the food chain, which was, my first, big, look at her role in college, and that was a student-directed show. And he's like, well, just use your performance for that for your audition for the BFA program, and you'll just become a BFA. And that's how I got my BFA in acting.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I mean,
so cool.
I apparently was very good in that show.
That's true.
I mean, it's a far stretch. I played a Long Island accent Jewish woman who was in her 60s. I mean, For those who know me,
it was for you.
It was not a very far stretch. Although I will say, somebody who was in that show, Arno, who played my son, I did ask him to come on the podcast.
Oh.
So hopefully he will come on at some point, because he's a voiceover actor. And I think it's important, guys, that you know about all aspects, like I mentioned. So getting back to you, how many schools in New York did you apply for?
Just Pace.
Just Pace.
So I was under the impression, because I was coming from like kind of a small town in Florida, and I was in a small town in Maine before that, so I didn't think that I wanted to move to New York right away. I was like, oh, Boston would be a good starter city. So I applied for most schools in Boston. I applied for one in Philadelphia, but I didn't apply for a school in New York until like super last minute.
Yeah. Pace was the only, that was loud. Pace was the only city school I applied for, and I actually forgot I applied for it. And I even got a merit scholarship.
Oh.
And I think it was like 1,000 or 5, I don't remember. It was 1,000 or either 5,000. I could be exaggerating, or in between a year. And somebody told me it was because I had really good, it's like teacher recommendations. Apparently
cool.
That's what a merit scholarship is, but I have no idea.
I don't know. My mom applied to Pace for me. I hadn't even heard of it.
Listen, if she didn't, you know what?
Thanks, Mom.
But you know what? We could have been in Suffolk University
right?
together. That's crazy.
That's so crazy. And I do think that had I gone to Boston, I may have never come to New York. I feel like I would have just stayed in New England.
That's fair.
So,
I mean, you can probably get a lot of jobs out there, and you can be a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah. And I mean, Boston's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, we were there last year seeing
It's all true.
So what was your audition process like? Did you send in tapes? Did you go in person to these schools?
So for all of the other schools, I went in person. There was one big like audition event, and I can't remember where it was. It may have been in New York, that like a bunch of different musical theater schools went to, and you auditioned for everyone at once.
I apologize, now if you hear things, but I just realized I should maybe turn off my email that I'm getting. So
I like the sound effects.
All right, continue, Kerrie.
So I went to one of those like big unified audition days where a bunch of schools saw you, and then I think I went to Emerson to audition. But for Pace, because it was so last minute, I sent in a tape. So I had to do 2 songs.
I remember.
I think one monologue, and then I had to dance.
Ooh.
And
which we will get into, because I do have Kerrie's resume in front of me, and it says actor, singer, and dancer is literally crossed out, and it says mover.
I move so good.
What does A stand for? What's your middle name?
Anne.
Oh, I think I knew that, but I forgot.
Yeah. And not even like the fun Anne with an E at the end. It's just A and N.
Well, E's are L.
It's fine. But I did.
Nobody ever guesses my middle name, so it's fine.
I did like a really cheesy. I think my senior year we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, so I did like one of the ensemble dances like on videotape, and I sent that to another human to watch, and it's a miracle that they accepted me.
Well, because I auditioned last minute. I don't remember if I did a monologue or not, but I had to do an upbeat number, and I had to do, I'm brain farting, like a dramatic number, a ballad and an upbeat. So I did, I remember specifically what I did. I did Who Will Buy from Oliver. Who will buy? And then I did, what's that song from Jekyll and Hyde? I peer through windows, watch life.
Oh, Someone Like You?
Yes, and I did that song. I know.
God, I don't remember. I think I did Life of the Party.
Mm-hmm. Which ironically pasted Wild Party.
I did. They did not want me in that show. I don't remember what my ballad was.
Yeah.
Okay, if anyone from the Pace faculty is listening and wants to send me my audition tape.
Maybe your mom can fish it out for you.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'd be like, what are the guys? No, I just remember like very last minute being like, Pace.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I didn't get into musical theater. I auditioned for one Pace musical, which was Little Women, and it was like a few days after my grandfather died.
Oh, God.
So it was, and I even remember, like, the person being like, are you nervous? Like, yes. But I was also going to be like, I'm also an emotional wreck.
Right.
But then I took an acting for the musical stage class. And Kerrie, would you like to tell them your experience of witnessing me sing a song?
So at the end of the semester, Allison's class did a performance. I guess that was like your final, and people could come and watch. So I came, and I remember it was early in the morning. Yeah. It was like 9 or 10 a.m., which is not that early.
Well, I want to say for a side note, I was so nervous that first day of class that I actually threw up.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like next semester, people were like, you were nervous? Because apparently I'm just really good, guys. But continue.
So I had never really heard Allison sing before, and you did Broadway Baby.
Which is an upbeat number from
Which is
Follies.
not a sad song, and I cried.
Yeah.
I was so proud. You were so good. What was the other? Was the other one from Secret Garden?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think somebody said, and I know this is going to sound like horrible and awful, and I don't mean it to be at all, but like there was this person who I was very good friends with in the class, and I think they were probably a little jealous over the fact that I could sing. Well, and she would be like, oh, well, the song has to be sung like this and da-da-da. And then somebody else who I was like kind of friendly with, she's like, I think she's just like jealous of you. Like, get over it. Yeah, so anyway, let's continue. So you get into Pace,
Yes.
and like you decided on Pace because it was the only school that actually let you in?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, because I was either waitlisted or didn't get into the other ones. Because I went for very competitive schools, and like my mom didn't know and that they were so competitive, so.
Well, I think that's also important, I mean, again, with this podcast, and hopefully down the line I'll have people who nowadays can help people with college prep, because that's important, because when I was in high school, my theater teacher, I only took theater, I think, like, junior or senior. I don't remember what it was. I never got into the musicals in high school. I really thought I had a chance my senior year to get in. But for some reason, my theater teacher just did not like me. And I think it's because I never shoved my head far enough her ass. And I even remember, like, either freshman or sophomore year running into the now principal of my high school, like, by the South Street Seaport. And she even said to me, does this teacher do favoritism? And that's the now principal at my high school, to which I said yes.
Right.
And she goes, well, why didn't you say anything? And I was like, what does it matter?
Right.
I do remember saying to her, I'm like, well, have you seen, like, the shows? And she goes, no. So, yeah. But now I think, like, where I went to high school is, like, they have their own Instagram page. Freaking Adam Pascal went to my high school to talk to the theater kids because I think they're doing Rent.
That's so crazy.
My dream is to become, like, super famous and to go back to my high school and, like, direct a production of, like, Spring Awakening.
Nice.
And I'll be like, I will go if my theater teacher who I had wasn't there. I can tell you how horrible she was. And I think I've told you this story before. So Brooklyn the Musical, which I know you're obsessed with, and you sang a song from our senior showcase, which we'll get into. She had the creators there, so the guy who was homeless and, like, that female who found him and created this musical with him. And this was when I was really struggling to tell my parents that I wanted to pursue theater as a career. And I just remember talking to the woman who was one of the creators and just started hysterically crying to her, being like, I want to go into theater. I don't know how to tell my parents. What advice do you have? And I'm literally, it's like, hysterically crying, like, tears down my face. I don't think I was gasping. And then the theater teacher comes over and asks me to move to the side so she can get a photo with the woman. While I'm standing there, like, hysterically crying.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
People are terrible.
Yeah. And to, like, which my mom would be like, you need to get over it. But, like, I call it a teacher spawn of Satan. You know, whatever. Maybe she's changed. Maybe she's not. Do I care? No. I just know if and when I ever win a Tony Award, like, you know, let's see if that ever happens, probably will. But, you know, a girl can dream. If they ever ask me, like, who would you like to suck at, I'm going to say my high school drama teacher.
I like the thought that someone at the Tony Awards would ask the question, who would you like to suck at?
No, they did. So, like, Broadway.com, they did that. So, again, this is where my entertainment knowledge base and, like, my theater nerdy, I watch any and everything. I'm also a huge, that's what I meant to say, award show junkie.
It's true.
So, guys, just wait. Like, you can't even talk to me during an award show. Like, the Oscars is the holiest day of the year. Forget about, like, Yom Kippur for the Jews. What is it for non-Jewish people? Easter?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the holiest day of the year. But the year that I remember, it was Curious Incident. It was the year that Something Rotten was on Broadway, because I remember Christian Borle answering a question, and it was the year Fun Home won. So it was like 2015, 2016 season, or 2014, 2015 season. And they asked, who would you like to suck it? And, you know, I was like, oh, one day.
That's an amazing question.
No, it is. Maybe we'll ask that later on.
I like
All right,
it.
so let's continue on, because I do have a list of questions, and I feel like we keep getting sidetracked. So, you decided on Pace because you got in. We already covered all of that. So, you're at Pace. Now, let's talk about your experiences. What was the best and worst thing, like your experiences at Pace. I mean, we all know what mine are. Kerrie knows me very well. She's one of, I would say we're pretty close friends. You know?
Yeah.
She's nodding in agreement.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't hear that, can you?
Yeah.
Nod.
Well, as soon as you said yes in the midst of me, you're like, yeah. So you know what? I'm sure at some point I'll get into it. But what were the best and worst things about going to Pace? I mean, other than meeting me.
Well, right, like the best, I mean, is really the people that I met, because I'm still close with you.
Apparently we would have still been friends if we both went to Southern
I
University.
Guess so. It was written in the stars.
Oh my god, like Aida.
Like Aida.
You can always reference, I've noticed this too. I remember my senior year of high school, we did like this leukemia benefit, like walk the night or something, where we like camped out. And I remember being in someone's tent and being like, you can reference anything to a movie or a TV show, or at this point a musical. So let's see. Again, we just referenced Aida. So.
Yeah, I always say there's a song for everything.
Yeah.
Whether you know it or not. It's out there.
Or we can just make up one.
That's it.
Yeah. Look at my pants. Da-da-da. Okay,
That's my favorite song.
I know.
It's so funny.
I just came up with it. It's going to be a new hit. Look at my pants. Or was it when Peter Dinklage hosted SNL, he did a song, and Gwen Stefani, I think, was a musical guest, and it was Space Pants. Space Pants.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, SNL. I'm also a huge SNL fan, by the way, guys. All right, sorry. Which will come into play when we do review it, because I did watch a movie last night.
Ooh.
Called After.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that.
We'll get into it,
okay.
but continue.
Okay.
So, other than meeting me,
yes, yeah. So best is the people I met. 'Cause I'm still close with you and my friend Mariah, and yeah. And then also a lot of the
just Mariah and I.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's interesting too. So, kids, while you're listening, I feel like the older you get, the less amount of friends you have. I mean, I have you and I have Elizabeth, who you have become friends with through me. And I literally have just them to do anything with, because they have other people to hang out with. So, yeah.
It's about quality, not quantity.
No, seriously. And I literally have like 2 friends. So, which is fine. And the older you get, you want quality friends as opposed to like a huge group of friends. Or at least I think so. And that's not everybody's thing. And that's fine. So, other than me and Mariah from Pace. So, other than like the friendships, is there like something you learned from Pace, or... Do you think Pace prepared you for anything?
No, I don't. Which is fine.
Well, I would also just like to say that, when we went to Pace, I think they were still, the program was good for what it was, but now it's like...
Oh, it's a whole different school.
It's a whole new thing, yeah. So, for those listening, we went to Pace many moons ago. And Pace is now its own separate thing. I think it's the first, performing arts school at a college, and, since, Tish. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like I read that somewhere. I could be wrong.
It's a huge deal now.
It's a huge deal
now. But
now.
when we were there, it was still... we were one of the first classes of the BFA program. It was still very small.
Yeah, for musical theater.
Yeah. I would not get in now, because I can't dance.
I can't dance. I can't dance either. I mean, I dance, but, if you have somebody trying to teach me to dance... I used to work at a dance studio, and I had even kids trying to teach me how to do a time step, and it just was, not
so hard.
Good at all. So, now to get Debbie Downer, what were some of your least favorite things about Pace?
It's nothing...
And we're not bashing Pace.
No,
we're just
no.
talking about experiences that Kerrie had, whether it be with people, whether it be, a class she didn't enjoy. It is nothing to do with the program or the school. It is just our personal experiences. I personally had a very rough senior year of college, just even trying to direct a show, which, Kerrie knows very well about, and I don't like talking about it because, blankly years later, I still get very angry and aggressively angry when I talk about it. And I just think, things like that just stick with you,
Yeah. Yeah, and there's no one thing that was bad. I think overall I had a pretty good experience. I think the only thing is, Pace was very cliquey. So those were harder to break into. And I don't know. I'm always kind of on the outside of things, so those groups are hard to break into. The same people got cast over and over again, so that was always kind of frustrating. But on the flip side of that, I was able to do a lot of productions and create a lot of things outside of the school-sponsored shows that, that have everything to do with who I am today.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of them.
Boy.
So those things, One of my dream roles is Catherine in Proof, and Kerrie and I weren't friends for quite some time because she got cast in that part. But it's fine. We're friends now. The Diary of Anne Frank, Elegies for Angels, Punks, and Raging Queens,
We were that.
which I was also in.
Yay.
But I think if you auditioned, you were in it. I would like to say for the record that I actually played a drag queen in that show.
So good. The
Thank
makeup was
Thank you.
exquisite.
I actually based my makeup off of Angels in America, Justin Kirk. In
Oh!
Angels, when he was in drag.
Yeah,
and
now
he
that you
runs
say
into
that.
Harper.
Uh-huh.
But I put my eyebrows too high. But I did learn how to put glitter on your eyebrows. You take a glue stick and then you put the glitter on the eyebrow. It comes off really easily though.
Scary.
I still have my eyebrows intact.
Yes, I can attest to that.
You did falsettos.
Yes, that's probably my favorite thing I did while I was there.
You did Medea. And it seems as though the one main stage production you did was Carousel.
Yes, so I was cast in the ensemble of Carousel my senior year.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, my sophomore year of college, I got cast in Trojan Women because I was a female. And they casted anybody who was a female in that show. And I volunteered to do a scene where I get assaulted.
I remember this vividly.
I forewarned my parents that it was happening. And I sliced my chin open on someone's costume.
Oh.
And I got blood all over the stage. I still have a very slight scar. And then the only other main stage production I did was Stop Kiss our senior year.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was because I complained to the department head that I never got cast in anything. But then a lot of people thought I was going to get cast in, what was it, The Cradle Will Rock, apparently, because the head of the department knew I wanted a specific role in that show. And somebody told me, everybody thought you were going to get cast, and I didn't. Which I think was also a blessing in disguise, because I had time to direct How I Learned to Drive.
That's true, yeah.
Which, by the way, is coming to Broadway, and I'm losing my effing mind. With Mary Louise Parker and David Morse, if there is one of the few things that I'm excited about this season, or next season, well, it's this season, it's the spring season, would be How I Learned to Drive.
Yeah.
So you were able to do things outside of Pace because there was a theater group, Pace Cares, that would put on productions and that would raise money for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS.
Yep. And
that's actually how I got to direct How I Learned to Drive. I did it through Pace Cares because we're not going to get into it on why that happened.
Yeah, you had to do what you had to do, but yeah, I was able to do lots of good shows.
So what's your favorite role you've ever played? Whether it be at Pace, outside of Pace.
Such a good question. I mean, Dr. Charlotte in Falsettos is really up there. Yeah. That's, yeah. Oh, and my senior year we did a workshop performance of a musical called Crossing Brooklyn.
Oh, I remember that.
Where I played the lead Des, and that is probably my favorite thing I've done.
It was in Mainframe.
Yeah, it was in Mainframe.
That's where I did How I Learned to Drive.
Yeah. And
that's where the director of the show came up to me and mentioned that the guy who played Peck in my show had a very nice ass.
And it's true.
You know what? He really did. He's actually in a Bed Bath & Beyond commercial, ad.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah. And you see, part of his butt. But he's in, blue shorts.
I mean, if they really wanted to sell towels, they would just only show his butt.
It's for cooling sheets.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It is.
But yeah, Crossing Brooklyn was amazing because we worked with the woman who wrote it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I didn't get to really even, in high school, I didn't do that much. I mean, when I was in 5th grade, I was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. So that's up there. And then, what else? I would say in college, my 2 big roles was The Food Chain, where I played Bee, the 60-year-old Long Island Jewish woman. And then Dog Sees God, Confessions of a Teenage Blockhead, where I played CP's sister.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think those were, I think The Food Chain and Dog Sees God were, my 2, big roles where people were like, oh, you are halfway decent at acting. Thanks, guys. I can actually perform and do things. God, my computer keeps, turning off. Let's record more. Okay, so, favorite, do you have any, dream roles you want to do?
I do. So, it's actually it's not even a musical that is, my top dream role, but, Eurydice and Sarah Ruhl's play Eurydice is, my ultimate dream.
I've never seen it.
Oh my God.
I've heard of it though.
I worked for Second Stage Theater when it was happening. I was a telemarketer, but I got to see it 4 or 5 times, and it's the most incredible piece of theater.
Yeah. Second Stage is like dipping and doing it now. They got a Broadway
Right?
theater. They got a Take Me Out. I really want to see. That's going to be a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, what do you hope for your future with, performing or doing whatever you need to do?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any...
I mean, I stepped back from pursuing it for money.
Yes.
Because it's hard.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, that's why I have another degree in communications, which I don't really think I use.
That's why I have a minor in women's studies. Oh, wait, that's useless.
No, I could have had a minor in history because I took all the history classes. Yeah. But then I discovered the other day, I said I have an invisible minor in history, and somebody's like, "That's good." I'm like, "I'm gonna steal that now." So yeah, do you But also, you are a member of a theater group called Co-op East.
Yes.
So you do get to do things. Why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about it?
Yeah. So Co-op Theater East was started, I think, in 2008. By 3 people who met at NYU, but one of them being a woman named Ashley Marinaccio, who Allison and I both went to Pace with.
Mm-hmm. Who directed Angel's Elegies. What is it?
Elegies,
Raging Punk.
Queen.
The title's
it's so
there
long.
Somewhere. It was so long ago, guys. But it's funny because the only time, little fun fact about us doing Elegies, the only time the entire cast was together was the actual performance of the show.
That's so true.
And she wanted me to be in a skull cap where I was bald. Which didn't happen because my friend and I tried to do it and it just didn't work out. So I had like pin curls. And we took those out. It looked like I had a huge afro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the style.
Yeah.
So they founded this theater group called Co-op Theater East. And the mission statement, which is kind of in flux right now, is about creating theater for social change. So I joined in 2009 as an ensemble member. I am still an ensemble member.
And your husband doesn't know, apparently?
My husband doesn't know?
No, like he doesn't now.
Yes, yeah. So we do this monthly play series called Living Radio, which is like a 24-hour play thing where...
Do you actually do it for 24 hours?
No, so the writers who are writing the plays get the prompt, and then they have 24 hours to write the play.
Got it.
And then we rehearse it the day before the performance. So we do this once a month, and I recruited my husband into writing a play last month. Which was hysterical.
I was just like,
he's so good.
Available to perform in these things.
That's good to know because they're actually looking for people. So.
Although if it's like a Monday night, which it always is,
it is. Yeah, it's a Monday night until 8. Yeah, it's every Monday at 7, or the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. And Roddy also acted last month, which he hated every second of, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, Kerrie's husband is a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
Would you like to, talk about your husband? Roddy MacInnes? He's going to hate me that I'm messing up.
Roddy MacInnes.
Is it MacInnes? Oh, no, wait. You said telemarketer. They mess up my mom's last name all the time, too, because they're Italian. It's Scelto. Some say Scalato, Scialto. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I always feel like MacInnes is pronounced the way it's spelled. But I guess if it's all in caps, it really confuses people. But your stage name
is Kerrie Bond.
Yeah, Kerrie Bond-MacInnes is cumbersome.
Yes. So, Kerrie...
Don't hyphenate, kids.
Yeah. So, let's talk about your special skills.
It's
a song I just made up, guys. It's very exciting. So it says here, vocal range, mezzo-soprano, high belt, mix, strong. Sorry, I'm going to read this over because I can read. Mezzo-soprano, high belt / strong mix. Apparently I'm the same, so high five.
Woo!
Well, I don't know about a strong mix, but I was told I have mezzo-soprano with a belt mix.
Nice.
That's what I was told. Guys, if you need to hear me sing, just hang out in my apartment when I'm in the shower. You're a low F to high A, legit voice. Does that mean you can sing soprano?
Well, I mean, yeah, it means I have I can do a legit
I've ever heard
sound.
You sing soprano before.
I don't do it that often.
I think I just scared the kids at home with my singing soprano. I promise I'm better. Strong music sight reading skills, sketch comedy, and the following 2 things I'm going to make her do on here. Mickey Mouse voice.
Boy.
Baby cry, which I think I've heard, but I need to hear it again.
This really freaks people out. All right.
Is this the closest you're going to come to having a baby?
Yes. I mean, maybe. Who knows? The future is unknown.
Okay.
I am not allowed to do that in front of most people. It really scares them.
You have, like, something on your sweater, by the way.
Oh, no.
Or it could be a hole. I don't know. It's a weird pet peeve I have. And then it says valid U.S. passport.
Super true. You will notice that it does not say valid U.S. driver's license.
Yeah, you don't drive.
No.
You know, I will say, I mean, I drive people crazy, but it surprises people that I actually do drive. Like, people can't picture it. At least, like, 3 people, like my roommate, my friend Shayna, and another guy we went to college with, were like, you drive?
I know, I can picture it.
Yeah. I mean, Shayna, by the way, we went to college with and is one of my good friends. Shout out, Shayna.
Hey, Shayna.
What? All right, so last question I want to ask you is why do you think theater is important? I feel like you mentioned it before when you were introducing yourself, but that was like 20 minutes ago or longer. So why do you think theater is important?
I mean, it's important to me because it's a way for people to express themselves. I feel like a lot of theater kids can sometimes feel like outcasts. And so it's a way to be in the spotlight. I know I oftentimes don't feel comfortable as myself, but I always say, so I have a hard time public speaking. Like, I cannot give a speech in front of my company.
Ironically, Kerrie and I did a public speaking class together in college.
I'm so bad at it.
I just remember I did a speech on, like, the difference between, like, why, like, the pill or the patch for birth control was better. And then I did a speech on William Shakespeare.
I talked about a chorus line. That was my chorus line phase.
Yeah.
I remember that very well.
Did you watch the documentary?
Yes.
I sometimes go on YouTube and look at the Jason Tam audition.
Yeah.
I cry every time.
Yeah, I cried the entire thing.
Piglet.
Yeah. But I'm terrible at public speaking. For whatever reason, I can't, like, get up in front of my company and talk without being incredibly nervous, but I can get on stage and sing in front of thousands of people without batting an eye.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that, because you and I have actually discussed this, or at least I've mentioned it to you, because for my profession, I deal with people every day, and, you know, my personality, people are like, oh, are you an actress? Are you this? And my joke is always, I act like I like people. But I do remember specifically even where we talked about this was, like, I think it was, like, 79th Street? No. It was, like, 81st Street, like, right next to the Natural History Museum, where I told you that I watched, like, a clip on Instagram with Marlon Brando, where he was saying people act every day in their lives because this interview you're acting right now, you're not really like this off stage, blah, blah, blah. So maybe you have to think of it as, like, you're nervous as yourself, but maybe there's a different version of Kerrie that you can act like to do that. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, no, it's totally true.
Guys, this is where I said I'm really good with life advice. You're welcome.
It's true. But that's why theater has always been important to me, because it's a way to get out in front of people and express myself that I can't do in everyday life.
Yeah. So getting to the whole, like, still, you know, you're pursuing theater, you do the Co-op East, sometimes you sing at events and stuff that I've seen you on YouTube, not YouTube, on, like, social media that you post, you singing something from Waitress. You have also done different things with theater. So you actually were one of those people in Times Square handing out flyers.
It's right. It's how I met my husband.
Well, you technically met your husband. So I think it was my 23rd birthday.
Yeah.
Or my 24th. I think it was my 23rd birthday, where we were in Times Square and some guy comes up to us trying to sell us theater tickets. And me, being the aggressive, obnoxious New Yorker, I'm like, no, go away. And it turned out it was Kerrie's husband who was trying to sell us theater tickets. Cut to Kerrie, like, a year later, maybe?
Almost exactly a year later.
She was in Times Square. You got a job with a marketing company doing promotions
for Bloody Bloody.
For Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, which you haven't seen. It is such, like, it's not for everybody, but it's such a great musical.
It's brilliant.
I saw it like 5 times.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's about Andrew Jackson. It's an emo rock musical. It's so 90 minutes. People forget about it. I remember when I went to Boston. I love early, like, I can't talk today, apparently. I'm just so overwhelmed. I love early colonial American history, so, like, the fact I was in Boston, I was, like, losing my mind. And my friends and I, who I went with, Elizabeth, I said to her, like, we're doing historical stuff. She's like, I'm shocked. So we did the Freedom Trail, and then she mentioned Hamilton, this person, and I said, what about Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson? She's like, there's a musical about Andrew Jackson. Like, nobody knows about it. The show is brilliant.
54 Below should do a reunion concert.
I said that when Benjamin Walker was on Broadway, whom I love,
and what's he doing now? No
his
offense,
wife
Benjamin.
is you know, a 20-something-year-old, like, beautiful movie star. It's fine. We'll get into it. We are going to be playing a game, though, later, which I'll get into. So maybe you'll pick Benjamin Walker's name out of the bag.
Ooh.
And we'll talk about that. But, so you did promotions
Yes.
on the street for a job or to make extra money? What was that?
It was one that was so for anyone who doesn't know, Allison and I graduated directly into the recession. So there was a period of time that I had like 5 different jobs. So flyering was one of those jobs.
Well, also for the kids at home who want to pursue theater, that could also be known as a survival job.
That's true. Yeah. Yep.
Would you like to continue on with your story?
End of story. No.
Dun, dun,
so
dun.
I was flying. I was stationed mostly on 46th Street in front of the Marriott Marquis, and my husband.
Well, we don't have to talk about how you met your husband, but like we can. But it's mostly like about the flying stuff. That's horrible, guys. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so you met your husband on 46th Street.
I did. He was selling comedy tickets.
Yeah.
I was flying. Yeah.
Her husband's a stand-up. He's very funny. I've only seen him do it once for your very long comedy birthday thing at a comedy show.
It's true.
And very uncomfortable chairs.
Also true. Yeah.
My butt still hurts from it.
I know. Yeah, luckily he's funny. I always say it's good I don't have to lie to him for the rest of my life.
That's good.
You're like, oh, you're so good. No, he's actually funny.
That's good.
And he's Scottish.
Guys, that's why we're friends.
It's an important detail.
Yeah. So you stopped doing that, but you did also, I don't want to mention the company because like they're not sponsoring us, so why am I going to mention their name?
Yeah.
There is a ticket company where people, they're known as ticket concierges, stand outside the theater and give out tickets, and you did that as well.
I did that very recently. That was just like a side gig to put away some extra cash, but yeah.
Yeah, for a wedding in Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
So, see, guys, there are different ways where you can work in theater. I mean, I have ushered at off-Broadway theaters. I worked at the Minetta Lane Theater. I worked at the Union Square Theater, which doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I've also done a few shifts at the Orpheum Theater where Stomp is. And then from there, I sold merchandise on Broadway for like 7 years. And I once in a blue will do it if they ask me and I'm available and I feel like doing it.
Yeah.
So there are different ways to work on Broadway. I have a lot of friends who are ushers at theaters. I have a friend who's actually a dresser at Mean Girls. She's actually doing the Radio City Christmas Spectacular right now. So she's not currently at Mean Girls. But there are different ways to work at theaters and in theater. And that's another thing, you know, like I mentioned earlier, that we are going to cover. So, Kerrie, is there anything that you would like to ask me about anything?
Oh, my goodness.
You can say no, it's fine. And we can just move on to fun things.
What was your favorite merchandise job? Was it Mamma Mia?
Well, you know, I think every merchandise job is different. Like, Mamma Mia, I will say, like, when I was working there, like, Friday nights, I think Friday night in the merch office was, like, the best time to be had. Because we would just laugh our asses off. We would have a really great time. I mean, I have a very special place in my heart for Arcadia. Because I ended up working there, like, 5 days a week. And that's how I became very good friends with the ticket taker there. And, you know, I got to know the ushers a lot. And, you know, because I was there so often, I became really good friends with the bar staff. And, you know, some of the people who worked backstage, like, I can't remember if it was the company manager or Raul Esparza's dresser.
Dream job.
Who actually invited me to do, like, Sunday brunch, and I was invited to a party in Raul Esparza's dressing room, which they introduced me, and he goes, we have merch? So he had no idea. But I will say, Billy Crudup performed Arcadia, like, I think his first Broadway production at Lincoln Center, and he played Septimus Hodge. And every time they would do a talkback, he would be like, oh, when I played Septimus.
Oh,
and it's like, oh my God, like, we get it, you were Septimus Hodge. Like, now it's Don Riley. Like, get over it, guys. Like, yeah, but that was, I think, like 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. That was fun. I mean, there's a lot of really great, I mean, some shows were better to merch than others, but I think, like, the last show I, like, full-on merched was the last production of Fiddler on the Roof, which was a really great production. But I think I know for a fact I was the longest running merch person there. I only worked on Saturdays, and I didn't work every Saturday, but a majority of them I did. I was there from the first night of previews to the final performance.
Wow.
And the reason I was there first night of previews was because they needed people who, like, actually knew what the F they were doing.
Yeah.
And the first night of previews, the show was 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Oof.
And that was coming off of working a 10-hour shift at my job.
So fun.
Yeah. But, you know, luckily, like, the theater that I was at, I don't live far from. So during the first act, which was an hour and a half, I would go home. But like towards the end of the run of Fiddler, just like, you know, kind of what was making me like, you know, I think I'm done with merch for now, was because, you know, people wouldn't be coming in and you're standing there for like 30 minutes, just like standing at the booth waiting, and it got very boring.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to be a certain age soon, and I kind of don't want to do merch like every Saturday.
That's fair.
In this age that I'm going into. 21 plus, guys. So that's where I was like, no, I'm good. So that's, I mean, like I said, like once in a blue, if they ask me to do merch and I'm available, you know, I'll do it. Granted, I haven't done a show, I think, probably since like, I can't even remember. I think over the summer, it was, what was it? What the Constitution Means to Me.
Oh, okay.
That I worked.
Yeah.
So that was the last, like, merch thing I did. But, you know, I sell theater tickets for a living. I work for a concierge company, and the hotel I'm at, I'm just theater and sightseeing, and that's why I'm there. And it's funny, too, because I know so much about theater, and I talk about it all the time. People are always like, you're always seeing shows. You're always seeing shows. That's not true. I don't see shows all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have some stuff lined up, like, in the spring. Like, I have Company, which I'm so excited about. We're seeing Carolina Chains.
Yes.
I'm seeing Luke Kirby. Well, that's in January. But I'm seeing Luke Kirby, who I call the hot guy from Takes the Waltz. But he's also, for those who don't know, he plays Lenny Bruce in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. He now has an Emmy Award, which I lost my mind over when I found that out. He's doing a show at the Park Avenue Armory. So, yeah.
Nice.
But let's continue on, Kerrie, because I feel like we've been doing a lot of talking. Now we're doing fun things. So, let's play called Review It.
Ah!
Well, yes, I love it. So, this is the part, I mean, I watched 2 movies yesterday, which I'm going to review.
Yes.
So, this is when we are going to talk about a TV show, a film, a show, or something that we just saw that we want to review.
Excellent.
So, is there anything, because you are my guest, you can go first.
Oh my
is there
gosh.
anything, I mean, you could say no, I got nothing.
No, what's funny is I have 2 things that come to mind that I have watched most recently, and they could not be more different. The first one is High School Musical, the musical, the TV show.
Oh, Jesus. I know you very well. You are the type of person who would love every second of it.
It's made for me. So,
yeah.
I had never seen any of the High School Musicals
Fun fact,
until this
Kate
year.
Ryder's is in it, who is a
Oh.
Broadway actress, who is also married to Andrew Smonsky, who replaced Matthew Morrison in South Pacific.
My goodness.
That's my entertainment knowledge base coming in. Kerrie knows nothing, by the way. Like, I bought a cameo
Just like
yesterday
Jon
for
Snow.
Katrina no, not Katrina Lank.
something.
Katarina Belf, who plays Claire in Outlander. And she's Irish, and Kerrie didn't know. She's like, is that her accent? I'm like, yeah.
I was like, what? Why does she sound like that?
Because she's Irish. She's an actor. She can do... Oh, we should have you do accents, too. I think that's on there, isn't it?
No, I took all of the accents off because I'm terrible at them.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Can you do Scottish because you're married to a Scotsman?
The only thing I can say in a Scottish accent is, I don't know.
I don't know. I can
but I just sound like a man.
Yeah, I can do like, Claire. No, that's not very good.
It's a really hard accent.
No, it is. And then I, like, at work, I'll sometimes, like, get a little... I think I'm pretty decent at accents, like, hearing them at work. But, you know, sometimes Scottish and Irish. Not Iris. Guys, I can't
And
talk.
Iris. Iris is hard.
Yeah, Iris is hard, too. Anyway, so High School Musical.
My God.
Yeah. And
so,
what was the other thing?
Joker?
Okay, so one extreme thing. So clearly you loved High School Musical.
I loved it.
Did you finish it?
Well, so Disney Plus is releasing episodes
time.
every week, which, I mean, whatever. That's how TV should be, I guess.
Well,
but the first episode is amazing.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum, I think, has a show on Disney Plus, and I think he does one about tattoos, and Caroline, my friend, who we went to college with, I think is going to be on it.
Oh, cool.
So I'm just waiting for that one.
Nice. I'll watch Jeff Goldblum do anything. I also really like Encore on Disney Plus, the one that Kristen Bell's hosting.
No, I can't do that. You know why? Because I was not in any of the musicals in high school, so I refused to watch it.
I just like watching like a 40-year-old woman play Annie.
Although I will say, like, Susan Egan is on it, and I effing love Susan Egan. If you guys don't know who Susan Egan is, do yourself a favor. She was the original Belle on Broadway. She voiced Megra. She's doing that thing that they're doing at, like, the Princess Party with Laura Osnes
Yes.
Oh my God, I can't think of something Reed. Courtney Reed, I think her name is. She was the original Jasmine in Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, you loved it. What about the Joker?
Okay, so Joker, here's the thing. It is a good movie. Like, it's well directed, written. Obviously, Joaquin Phoenix is incredible. But I felt that maybe it wasn't the right time to release a movie about a mentally ill white man who feels rejected by society, so becomes a killer.
Yeah. Well,
like, I was just disturbed by the whole thing.
I didn't see the movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing Frozen 2 next week, guys. I have priorities.
Similar.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I would like to say when I was in Disney World a month ago that, when I was down 3 years ago, my sister wouldn't do the Frozen sing-along with me. My friend wouldn't do the Frozen sing-along with me. So I went by myself, and it snowed in the amphitheater.
Amazing.
It was amazing. I love Frozen. I saw it on Broadway twice. Both times for free.
Oh.
Anyway, but I think the thing is, that's, the Joker, that's what everybody is saying. They're saying that the movie's great. Joaquin Phoenix is going to be nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Oscar is between him and Adam Driver for Marriage Story. Which is a movie with Scarlett Johansson about divorce.
I really want to see it.
It's actually, the Paris Theater is reopened right now because Marriage Story is playing there. So people maybe Netflix are going to be doing it. I personally am like, I don't want to spend the money. I will wait till December 6th for it to be on Netflix to watch it.
Yeah.
But it's between him and Adam Driver. But anyway, people are saying, like, the movie is great. Joaquin Phoenix is incredible what he's doing. But the only thing they're saying is that it's probably not the best time.
Yeah, like, why?
To have a movie like this come out.
Yeah, the only thing I kept thinking was just why? Why is this necessary? Like, right now?
Well, you also have to think, like, do they have the release date planned?
Sure, yeah.
But also, you could have pushed it.
Right.
Or, not release it at all. Because there's so many, like, TV shows or movies. Like, they did a TV show of Heathers based on the movie. And because of all the school shootings, they, like, scrapped. I don't know if they scrapped it or it's somewhere else, but they took it off the air.
And that's the right call. Because, I will never watch Joker again because it's not excessively violent, but all of the violence in it felt so realistic. It was like, oh, this could happen tomorrow.
I think that's probably the point of it. Todd Phillips directed it.
Really freaked me out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about happy things. So I watched 2 movies yesterday.
So excited.
I watched Second Act with Jennifer Lopez. And I didn't think it was that great. Don't get me wrong. I do love a Jennifer Lopez, like, comedy or romantic comedy. Like, one of my dreams is to be in a romantic comedy with Jennifer Lopez, which is a total true story. But I felt like, I can see what they were doing with it, but the story just kind of, like, I don't want to say it was all over the place, but it kind of was. And, like, some things happened quicker than they should have. And it wasn't, at the end of the day, a great movie. So there was this movie that came out a few months ago called After.
I haven't heard of
Which
After.
it's based on, like, a sexy novel.
Ooh.
I know. I'm not afraid of a sexy novel. I have an entire shelf. I'm super single. I had to live vicariously through something. So if anybody knows any good-looking single straight guys, send them my way. And I watched that movie, and it also won the People's Choice Award for Best Drama.
I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah. Well, you're also somebody who would not watch that.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. For what it was, I enjoyed it. I'd probably watch it again, but again, I'm super single, and it's also kind of creepy where it's about, like, college kids and not, like, adults. Well, they are adults, but...
Was anyone, like, famous in it?
Ray Fiennes' nephew was in it. Hero Fiennes. I can't think of his last name, but he was...
His name is Hero?
Mm-hmm. Okay. He was actually in one of the Harry Potter movies as, like, Tom Ridley, but when, Tom Ridley was a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so he was in that. And then Peter Gallagher makes an appearance.
Okay.
As well as... Oh my god, what's the actress's name? She was in Flashdance and The L Word. Beale or something?
Jennifer Beale?
Yeah, she was in it for, like, a hot second.
Oh, interesting.
But, who doesn't love Peter Gallagher?
Eyebrows.
No, my stepmom, actually, like, years and years and years, maybe, like, 30 years ago or more, she, like, rented a cabin with, like, Peter Gallagher.
What?
Yeah. Not, like, them together.
Like,
he was with his wife. No, so she knows Peter Gallagher.
That's crazy.
And it's funny because, like, she told us about it, and I just remember, like, we went to... This is when a video store was a thing. We rented the first movie he ever did, and we watched it, so she, like, made us watch it. It's just interesting now, too, that his daughter, Catherine Gallagher, she was in the revival of Spring Awakening,
right.
Death West, and now she's in Jagged Little Pill. So it's just interesting. Ooh, I just hit my microphone.
Wait, is she the one... Does she have strong eyebrows, too?
Yes.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. Okay.
Yeah. Do you notice it? Do you know who she is now?
Now I can see her face.
Did you watch You on Netflix?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in that too. She was the Instagram, like, wannabe Instagram famous girl.
Yeah. She got the eyebrows.
She does. All right, now we're going to play another fun game that I like to call Cast It or Cast Me. So Kerrie's going to pick 1, 2, or 3 names or shows out of the hat.
Ooh.
Well, it's actually a Halloween bucket.
Yeah, it's a pumpkin.
Yeah, it's a pumpkin. It's a jack-o'-lantern. And we are either going to cast this person in something, or we're going to cast the show, movie, could be musical. So.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting.
All right, Kerrie, go ahead and pick.
Really gonna. Okay, here we go. Wait, one? Just one?
Like, okay. We can, let's see how long it takes for each one.
I chose Shoshana Bean.
So what would you cast Show Bean?
Oh, God.
I already know. I know my answer for
Funny
this.
girl.
Same.
Yeah.
And you know who I would cast as Nick Arnstein? Benjamin Walker.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Is anyone listening here?
Yeah. Well,
make this happen.
The problem is, like, as much as we would love to have Shosh Bean, like, it's a problem now with Broadway. Is like, if you don't have a name for certain things, like, how are you going to sell it?
Yeah.
You know, I know somebody who works in theater and, like, works for a Broadway producing company and international business. And we've had conversations about, like, you know, Dreamgirls and it coming to Broadway. And they were saying it's just very hard to find an Effie. Do you have to have a name?
Right.
And all that stuff. Like,
God, that's true.
You know, if Hugh Jackman wasn't doing The Music Man and it was a Music Man revival, like, could you do that show without having a big name in it?
Yeah.
You know, like, I think Lady Gaga would be actually a really good Fanny Bryce.
I think she'd be fantastic.
A friend of mine, because we've talked, and I've talked about, like, who would you cast and stuff before, and my friend had a really good one, but he doesn't know if she can sing, and it's Nina Arianda. She won the Tony Award for Venus and Fur.
Oh, yeah.
She would be great in that. She needs to come back to Broadway, too.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about her.
Yeah, I think she's doing that show
great.
Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, yeah.
Again, entertainment knowledge coming out. So, yeah, I think she would be great. And then maybe Shoshana Bean should just come back to Wicked.
Yeah, why not, man?
Yeah. Or she should just... Well, Catherine McPhee is closing out Waitress, but Shoshana Bean, did you see her in Waitress?
No, I didn't see her, but I listened to all of the videos.
Her in she was so good.
Yeah.
I, like, said to myself, like, if she originated the role... I mean, Waitress was nominated against Hamilton.
Yeah.
And she was also, like... The person who won that year was Cynthia Erivo, so you kind of can't...
Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo...
There was no beating
There was no beating Cynthia Erivo for the Tony Award. Like, I remember you and I saw The Color Purple, and we, like, lost our...
Unbelievable.
Our minds. But we went because Heather Headley was in the show.
Yes, also unbelievable.
Yeah. Which somebody said to me, like, if Heather Headley originated the role, she probably would have won the Tony for
Yeah,
it.
I think so.
Yeah, which I haven't seen Hamilton. I know.
It's so crazy.
Well, you know, I got a ticket for my big birthday, and... It was the same date as a friend's wedding, and I had to sell my ticket, and it's fine. I will see Hamilton one day.
It's not going anywhere.
When Ricky Ricardo is in it. Not Ricky Ricardo. I meant to say Ricky Martin.
I hope it's Ricky Ricardo.
Yeah, he comes back from the dead and plays King George. All right, let's do another one. Cast it or cast me. Who's it gonna be?
I have chosen Benjamin Walker.
Nicky Arnstein.
Yeah,
well, it's
that'd be
interesting
great.
too because he did an interview on Broadway.com, which I shouldn't be mentioning these things, guys, because they're not paying me. But they mentioned who would you play, and I think he mentioned Billy Bigelow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know if he has the right kind of voice for that.
I don't think he has a strong enough voice for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a video of him singing. I think. Being Alive. Like, he can sing, but I don't know how strong of a voice he would have.
Yeah, Billy really needs like a big baritone. Yeah.
I will say, I know that Carousel is problematic, but it is the one show that I will cry from when he kills himself to the very end of the show.
Yeah, no.
And
same.
I saw the revival with a guy friend of mine who I've known for 11 years, and he's never seen me a complete mess before, like other friends of mine have. And I forewarned him, by the way, I will probably be hysterically crying at some point. Luckily, I wasn't gasp crying, but I was I hit it very well. All right. Anything else you would cast him in? Oh, so here's my thing. So in the bucket, I do have the musical remake of South Pacific.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm just not even going to pick it out of the bucket. So, in my mind, I play Nellie Forbush in the movie because I think that is a role I would love to play one day. I know I can sing it. God, that sounds so narcissistic. I apologize. But it's true. Anyway, so I always say, who would be cast in the movie? And a friend of mine said that the guy who won the Oscar for The Artist, that French actor whose name I can't think
Oh,
of,
that guy, yeah.
would be great, but it'd probably be someone like Hugh Jackman.
Right.
But if you were going to cast Cable, who would you cast? I think Benjamin Walker or Jake Gyllenhaal.
Ooh, Jake.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, like, Bloody Mary would probably end up being, like, Queen Latifah.
Right.
But it should be Loretta Obliceres who did the Broadway musical. And she did it, I think... She did another production of it somewhere else. But that's who I think. I think Benjamin Walker would be great in that. And then he just needs to come back in a musical. Like,
I know.
He was really wonderful in All My Sons.
I didn't see All My Sons.
I will say, though, the girl who played his love interest, and I've seen her in other things, she actually kind of looks like Rachel Brosnahan.
Uh-huh.
As soon as she came out on stage, I just did not like her.
Ooh, interesting.
I just didn't like her at all. I just didn't like how she acted the role. Nothing about it I liked. And it's not saying that in real life she's not lovely and a great actor. It's just for some reason I was like, not like, no bueno.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for me. But I was so happy because Benjamin Walker finally got his Tony nomination,
Yay.
which he should have gotten. Did you see, speaking of Benjamin Walker, let's talk about American Psycho really quickly.
I took Roddy to see that for his birthday.
Do you regret that?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is, like, I do know some people who actually, like, loved American Psycho.
Too. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with me with, like, In the Heights. I didn't love In the Heights.
Yeah,
and people get, like, really defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my thing is, too, and I always say this to people, and I say this to guests, like, just because I didn't like Beautiful. I called it the poor man's Jersey Boys. But that's not saying, like, you know, the actors didn't work their asses off for all of it, you know. I'm not saying that at all, because everybody works and tries to make the best show they can. But there's going to be things out there that are not for everybody. Like, I absolutely love the musical Once and Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 are the only... I mean, The Light in the Piazza is my favorite musical of all time. But Once and Great Comet have the closest and dearest place in my heart. And there are a lot of people out there who didn't like Once. They thought it was boring, which is fine. You know,
no, they're wrong.
I just like, and I saw it, I will say, the first time, I'm getting totally sidetracked, but we're on it and we're running. Kind of like Michael Scott, like, you know, I just start a sentence and I'll see where it goes. I remember I got a coupon in the mail, and also I love Steve Kazee. And I've loved him ever since I saw him in Spamalot, which I'm sure you remember, Steve Kazee in Spamalot. I have a photo with him. I look disgusting, but I was in my youth. I look better with age, guys. So I look a lot better than I did in college. And I remember getting a coupon in the mail, and I was like, you know what? If I don't use this coupon, I'm never going to see the show. So I might as well just, like, go and, like, use this freaking coupon. So I was, like, second or first row at New York Theater Workshop, and I had done something that I've never done, and I haven't done since. I bought myself a ticket to see it again at intermission before even seeing the second act. And the second time I saw it, I was there. Nobody applauded during the first act because I don't remember if they even applauded during the second act, but everybody was just like, didn't want to ruin the quietness of the show. And then I saw it again, I think on New Year's Eve. And then that February, I think it went to Broadway. And I went to the first night of previews, and I think I've told you this story many times. But we're also going to... I didn't ask you what your best theater-going experiences were. We'll get there.
Ooh, yeah, I have to think about it.
Yeah. And then your top theater-going experiences, too, which I asked you to tell me. One of, like, the most incredible nights I ever had at a theater was the first night of previews for Once, where they came out, everybody applauded, everybody was losing their minds. They left the stage, the lights went back up, and nobody would leave the theater. People were still going nuts and crazy. And they made the actors go back on stage to do another curtain call.
That's amazing.
And I just remember Elizabeth A. Davis, who played Reza and who was nominated for the Tony. I just remember her crying. Like, that's just a very special experience.
Yeah.
You know, even going to a theater. Now, getting back to American Psycho. I didn't love it either.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just wasn't for me.
There were parts of it that I liked.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining that Benjamin Walker got to, like, walk around, like, half naked on stage.
I mean, that was the best part for sure.
And then he was covered in blood.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, ew. I liked how they did the murders. I like when they brought down the plastic and the blood splatter. I thought that was cool. That may have been the only thing I liked.
But there were people out there who like loved it.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Anyway, let's pick one more out of the bucket. Like really dig in there. Yes. All right. What is it gonna be?
So excited.
Drum roll.
Wicked movie.
Oh.
Anyone but Lea Michele.
Well, a lot of people now, I mean, at this point, it's going to be people who aren't even born yet.
Well, right.
I mean, again, I cast myself and stuff all the time, so I think I should play Elphaba. But I think, Beth Bears would be really good as Glinda. She was on Two Broke Girls.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know. But
what about, what's her face who was in the Hairspray live musical
Dove
and
Cameron.
just did, Yeah,
a lot of people think she should do it.
Yeah.
Rumors are like Ariana Grande. You know,
I wouldn't hate that if it had to be like a celebrity.
You know, like Lady Gaga do it.
Yeah,
yeah.
she could be in high school.
Well, I think the movie's also supposed to be like made by now. They even like Stephen Daldry who not Stephen Daldry. Who directed? I think it's Stephen Daldry. Directed Billy Elliot.
Yeah, Daldry.
Yeah, Daldry. I think he's supposed to be directing the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, well, they also just announced that they're doing a Follies movie.
Yes, that I'm psyched about.
Yeah,
I think that'll translate really well.
I think so, too. I mean, it's just a matter of... Oh, speaking of movies, did you see The Prom? Did we talk about the casting? We did when we saw it.
I just wish that they would just use the Broadway cast. And I know that no one's going to watch that, and I get it. But James Corden...
Well, I think James Corden's going to be great in that part.
Yeah, I just wish it was an actual gay man.
That's what a lot of people feel like for that, that it should be a gay man. But I will say, and I said this to you after we saw the musical together, because Kerrie and I saw it together. No offense to Meryl Streep, but there is no way in hell she can do a Beth Level.
No, absolutely not.
But, I mean, I love Stephanie J. Block, but Beth Level should have won the Tony.
Oh, yeah. Not that, I mean, I didn't see Cher, so I don't know, but I kind of felt like that was more of it's about time Stephanie J. Block won a Tony instead of actually rewarding her for that show.
I will say they don't have the lead of the female yet, the one that Caitlin Kiernan.
I think they should just use the girl from Broadway.
I think they should use her as well.
Yeah, they have enough stars in it now. They should, because she was so good. I loved The Prom.
Yeah, I will say, I'm sure Kerrie remembers this, but I was so mad at the end of the first act.
Oh my God.
Over what happened. Like,
horrified.
I was so mad, I didn't even applaud.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was like, I'm not applauding for that at all. How dare they?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Do you want to do another one, or should we move on?
I don't know. What do you think?
Let's do one more for fun.
For funsies.
I mean, this podcast is going on a lot longer than it should, but it's fine. We're having fun. We're talking.
Hey, Mark Maron goes on for like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, we're only at an hour and 7. It's fine.
Mannequin the musical. Is that happening?
No, it's not. I made it up.
It should happen. That's a great idea.
You know what they should do? They should have Andy Curl do it, because Andy Curl does a lot of... I think he might be too old for it.
Maybe. It's been a long time since I've seen Mannequin.
I think it's a great idea for him. Imagine if that was a musical.
I mean, yeah. It's going to happen eventually. They're just going to go through all the movies.
Which, by the way, I would also like to preface that I am a little psychic, which Kerrie knows and has seen firsthand. I totally called the Mrs. Doubtfire
musical.
did. And then well, whatever, it's a podcast. I shit you not. I put it on Facebook, and an hour later, they announced that they were doing it.
It's true.
Granted, I did get the casting wrong, though. I did say Norbert Leo Butz.
Oh, he'd be great, though.
He would be great. And I love Rob McClure. Rob McClure is my talent crush.
Yeah?
I mean, no offense to Billy Porter, Rob McClure should have won the Tony for Chaplin.
I didn't see Chaplin.
Well, Chaplin was very short-lived.
Right.
And if Chaplin was still on Broadway... he probably would have had a better chance at the Tony.
Yeah.
Because that was also the year of Kinky Boots. But
what
Rob McClure did in Chaplin, I have such a talent crush on him. He's my Broadway talent crush. And my Broadway boyfriend is Alex Brightman.
Aww.
Just mostly because of School of Rock.
Yeah. Though he's great in Beetlejuice.
He's great in Beetlejuice. Yeah. Okay, so Mannequin the Musical.
I don't remember it well enough to... I don't know.
All right, we'll move on.
Yeah.
So, Kerrie.
I guess I need to watch Mannequin. That's what I've learned today.
Yeah. It's a fun movie to be had, All right, so when I was like, come onto my podcast, I was like, make sure you have these ideas in mind.
Yes.
Because top going theater experiences. Yeah. Also, you and I don't really stage door that much anymore, but when we were in college, we stage doored.
That's all we did, yeah.
And the reason I was like, I'm not going to stage door anymore, because one day I'll work with these people and That's not true. But like,
I mostly just don't want to stand in the cold anymore.
Yeah. So I am a huge fan of Call Me By Your Name. I saw it many times in the movie theater, and I have a lot of Call Me By Your Name stuff. Like, my computer has Call Me By Your Name stickers on it.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, Kerrie's looking at it right now. My desktop is, my background to my computer is Call Me By Your Name. It is. I wish I could kiss you right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm a loser. It's funny. Whatever. I do have a Timothée Chalamet Jesus Can. Oh, by the way.
Oh, very important.
Yeah, this is a very important fact of this podcast. Fleabag is our new obsession. Well, it's mine. And Andrew Scott, who plays the priest, aka Hot Priest, has had a very large effect on me and Kerrie, mostly me. So we do have a prayer candle of Andrew Scott that is lit, of him as the priest, or aka Hot Priest, that is lit. And every podcast, I will have this candle lit to watch over this podcast, and also in hopes and prayers that Andrew Scott will come to Broadway.
Please come to Broadway.
He did a show many years ago called The Vertical Hour, which I remember being on Broadway.
I've heard of that, yeah, I remember.
It had Julianne Moore, Bill Nye, but I had no idea Andrew Scott was in it.
Yeah.
Imagine if I saw it.
Right?
Yeah. But his production he did of Hamlet 2 years ago in London. I was actually in London when they were performing it, and I even was like, I don't want to see a production of Hamlet. I'm so over Hamlet. It's coming to the Park Avenue Armory over the summer, and I was telling Kerrie, I'm like, imagine if Andrew Scott was in it.
I feel like it's totally possible.
I don't know, because he is doing a TV series of The Talented Mr. Ripley, where he's playing Tom Ripley.
God, that's gonna be hot.
Yeah, he's like weird. He's hot.
He's just
That's
hot.
all it is.
He's hot.
He's hot.
But he's not hot in a conventional way.
No, and let me tell you, he has arms, man. But he doesn't bat for our team, so like we can't do anything about it.
Enjoy him, boys.
Enjoy him. Enjoy him for us. And I am also drinking out of a Hot Priest mug that does say Neil. So we will have the Andrew Scott can. But getting back to why, I do have a Timothée Chalamet prayer candle, as well as a William Shakespeare one.
It's quite the collection.
Yeah, so Kerrie and I think like December 2017, we went to a talkback of Call Me By Your Name with Timothée Chalamet, and all of like the fangirls were waiting for him outside, and I said to her, I'm like, you realize if this was like 10 years ago, like we would be outside,
it would have been us
waiting for Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah. And Kerrie said the best, we're old and cold.
We're old and cold.
We're old and cold. It's true.
That's all I am now.
Yeah. We're old.
Oh.
Yeah.
When's the last time I stage doored? I mean, I'm sure it was with you.
I think mine was Straight White Men.
Yeah.
I feel like there was one after, but I think it was...
Yeah, no, I think that was my last one, too.
I feel like I had another one after that, but I really don't remember.
Meeting Armie Hammer was important. And Josh Charles.
Well, Armie Hammer did sign my Timothée Chalamet tote bag, which he's also coming back to Broadway in the minutes, which I'm very excited about. Yeah. Which is interesting, too, because I do follow his wife on Instagram, and they were at, like, a Steppenwolf benefit, and I was like, Armie Hammer, like, he has nothing to do with Steppenwolf, and now he's in the Steppenwolf production of the minutes. Like, Jessie Mueller, I understand, because she's from Chicago.
Yeah.
And, like, Tracy Letts, Steppenwolf, writer,
right, that's
playwright, whatever. It's his thing. So stage door experiences. Like, what have been the best and the worst for you?
Well, meeting Ewan McGregor is the pinnacle of my life.
I would, like, the only regret I have was not videoing that happening. I only have a video of you after it.
I barely remember. I don't know what I said.
I will say the only reason, and Kerrie is fully aware of this, and I told everybody, I was like, the only reason I am seeing the show is to witness Kerrie Bond meeting Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, a little background. I don't even know how to properly describe it.
Okay, I will explain the Ewan McGregor thing. I forgot to mention, Kerrie is also a huge Ewan McGregor fan. Like, she will leave her husband for Ewan McGregor.
And he knows that.
And, like, we're not getting into it, but she knows where he lives. Anyway, so... in California. No, and everywhere, actually. Sorry, take a sip of water out of my Hot Priest mug. So, I think it all started with Moulin Rouge, right?
It did. I was 14.
So, Kerrie Bond. Yeah. You know, it's funny because when I was like, oh, I need to pick a mug for Kerrie to drink out of, I have a Moulin Rouge mug from the musical.
It's the only choice.
That is what she's drinking out of. So, Ewan McGregor love started at 14 in Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
And to which I remember a couple of years ago telling you that Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, auditioned for it. And
so interesting.
I think maybe Heath Ledger did as well.
Huh. God, my life would be so different.
You said the exact same thing to me.
God, everything would be different.
But I do think Jake Gyllenhaal would have been too young at the time unless they casted Satine younger.
Right. It would have just been a little weird.
So anyway, Kerrie loves Ewan McGregor. Like, that's like
to a disturbing degree,
yeah,
and
like,
I know
the
that
movie Doctor Strange is coming out, and that's not something Kerrie would ever see.
No.
And she's like, I have to see it.
I'm
I was
gonna
like,
go
you
see
really
it.
don't. She's like, but I have to.
I have to.
Yeah, just he's also in the that Harley Quinn movie.
Ugh, I know. I know.
I think Margot Robbie. I mean, I haven't seen. Ooh, what did I do? I think we're still recording. I accidentally hit something, guys, so forgive me for that moment of like, oh my god, what happened? So, anyway, getting back to best stage door stories. So, do you remember anything else?
That's huge. God, I feel like I've met so many cool people at stage doors. Oh, okay, the first time I met Brian Darcy James, which is so silly because no one knows who he is at all.
They kind of do now.
Well, I know, like the world,
like back
I guess.
in the day.
Yeah, so I met him after the Martin McDonagh play he did.
Lieutenant Evan Ishmael.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Martin McDonagh is dating Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Hot.
Yeah, and which Kerrie did not know when I told her.
That's so good. That's such a good couple.
I usually tell Kerrie pop culture things, and she goes, "What?" I'm like, "How did you not know any of these things?"
I'm reading the
Even
wrong
with
magazines.
Broadway, she has no idea. It's pretty interesting.
So I went to see Lieutenant Evan Ishmael by myself just to meet him. He didn't even have a lead part. He was like a side character. It's so silly. So I waited at the stage door, and there were like 3 other people. This was not something that you stage doored, and I had my Wild Party sheet music book with me, and I asked him to sign What Is It About Her, and I was like shaking, and I stopped, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous. And he looked genuinely like happy, but also like, who is this girl that knows who I am? But he was so nice.
You know what that just reminded me of? When you and I saw that play, The Understudy, with
yes!
Justin Kirk,
that's a good story,
Mark
too.
Hustler, and Julie White. So there was this really funny off-Broadway show through Roundabout called The Understudy, and it was about a put-in rehearsal.
That was so good.
It was so funny. It was such a great show. So we stage door because I love Angels in America. Like, my first introduction to it was the miniseries. So one of my goals in life is to have everybody in the cast sign it. Granted, I highly doubt I will ever get Al Pacino, Meryl Streep, Emma Thompson to sign it, or Jeffrey Wright, unless he magically comes back to Broadway at some point. But I had the first part. You were actually there when Patrick Wilson signed it.
Yeah.
That was 13 years ago because he dated it.
He dated it?
He dated his signature. That's how I know.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, that show is interesting.
Yeah.
That's where my dislike for a certain actress was in that show started. Anyway, so we went to the stage door so I can get like Justin Kirk to sign this miniseries cover. And I guess Kerrie was nervous. I don't know what it was.
I'm just awkward.
He's like not the conventional good-looking guy.
No.
But he is so charming.
Yeah.
Like, you will literally, like, if you meet him and you talk to him, like, you will drop your pants for him.
For sure.
Like, 100%. So I remember, and it was cold out.
It was.
To which he goes, "It's cold out, right?" And then Kerrie goes, "I'm from Florida." She just, like, I think she was just, like, so happy to me. She was just like, he's like, "It's cold. I'm from Florida." And to which she goes, "So this must be unpleasant for you," or something like that.
It was such a good response.
It was like the most ridiculous. That's
a good one.
That was a good one.
Oh, my other one is when I met Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah.
And he came down the line, and I said, "I just want you to know that you're incredible," and he said, "You're incredible too."
Aww.
I'll remember that.
Oh wait,
forever.
remember when we did? Was that when we saw 3 Days of Rain?
Yes. Yep.
And then Bradley Cooper looked me directly in the eyes, and I became engaged to him.
That's true.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah. So what have been some of your worst stage door experiences?
Jeremy Piven was kind of a dick.
I remember.
And that was heartbreaking for Allison.
I used to like, he was my man.
Yeah.
And that was, like, a very big deal that, like, we were going. I even put on a special dress. Like, it was a huge, huge deal.
Yeah.
But look what happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, he ended up being a dick.
And now the world knows.
Oh, and because I'm friends with people who work in theaters, I heard a lot of stories about that.
Yeah.
About him backstage and all that stuff. But Elizabeth Moss was lovely.
She was very nice.
Rose Sparza was fantastic.
She was perfect, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, Jeremy Piven was a dick. Anybody else? Or any other stage doors?
No, actually, I don't think... I don't think I've really had any terrible stories. Like, the worst things have just been, like, waiting too long and then the person not coming out.
I mean, I've had definitely some great experiences, and I remember at a Mamma Mia party with a certain actor who I was, like, so excited about being in the show. I had a horrible experience with.
Yeah.
Because he was in a show that, I mean, you'll probably figure it out if I tell the story, but he was in the Light in the Piazza, and he also went into Mamma Mia, and Mamma Mia was one of the shows that I did merch at. And so I go up to him at this party, it was at Toloce, to celebrate something with Mamma Mia, and I said, Light in the Piazza is my favorite, like, that's something you just don't get over. To which he said, that was like 6 years ago. Like, you were the second person to mention that to me this week. People have to get over it. To which I was like,
okay.
And then I was and it's funny because my friends who, like, I worked merch with to this day remember, and I remember my friend Jason specifically, like, him and I talking about it. And he's like, no, I remember when you came up to me after that happened. And, like, you were just mad. Because I was so happy and excited that this person was going into the show. And I remember there's this actor named Noah Weisberg, who I was working at a hotel, and he was sitting in the lobby, and we were just kind of eyeing each other. And he ended up coming up to my desk and just talking, because he's like, I figured I'd introduce myself, because, we were kind of just, like, staring at each other. And we were talking, and we were mentioning different, like, actors and different people and I told him that story of this person, and he goes, that's horrible.
Yeah.
He's like, people should be, like, grateful.
Right.
That
you're still talking about
exactly.
something. Yeah.
Like, if you actually think about it, like, I don't know how it is for Broadway, but, like, for actors, you will not have a sellable movie unless they like you.
Right.
Like, if nobody likes Jennifer Aniston, she would not have the career that she has.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same thing with Broadway actors. I mean, if you have someone like Aaron Tveit in a show, you will get a certain fan base.
Right.
If you have someone like Ben Platt, like Hugh Jackman coming to Broadway, you're going to sell tickets.
Yeah.
So you should just be grateful that you're also in Mamma Mia.
Right.
Like,
So let's all calm down.
Yeah. Like, calm your pits. Yeah. And then, like, so that was at a party. And then I have two more. One of them was at the stage door of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And I asked an actress to take a photo with me. And she was like, can I cover my face? I want to cover my face. Can I cover my face? I'm like, I'm good. But I think she was a little drunk. And that kind of, like, turned me off a little bit.
Yeah.
And then another one was at the stage door of Spring Awakening with an original cast member who will remain nameless because they have a career. It's not Leah Michele. I will say she was always, like, I know whatever people's feelings towards Leah Michele, and I have her stories, but every time that I have met her at the stage door, she was always very lovely.
Yeah.
When I met her at the stage door. So, no qualms here. But there was a certain actor, and I mean, granted, it didn't come out correctly how I said it, but I think it was towards the end of their run, and they were just kind of, like, over it, and I said to them at the stage door, I'm like, are you feeling okay? You seem, like, a little off today. Or whatever I said, and they said, wow, that's something, like, you shouldn't say to somebody after a show. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it that way. And I think they realized, like, how shitty they made me feel after what I was trying to convey to them.
Right.
Which was, like, genuine, like, how you doing?
Yeah,
you know? So every time they saw me after at the stage door, they tried to overcompensate and be even nicer to me. Which I think you know who it is, because we saw a movie with them in it, and I was like, no, that person's an asshole.
Yeah, no, I remember. Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So those are my stage door experiences. But, like, do you have any, like, top going theater? I mean, I mentioned once.
Yes, once is
I also
huge.
didn't mention my best experiences at the stage door.
Oh, yeah.
So I have two. And I both cried at both of them. Sorry to, like, interrupt and talk about me for 5 seconds. Kerrie's with me for one of them.
Yes.
And that was most recent. But one of my favorite actresses of all time, other than Cate Blanchett, is Queen Laura Linney.
Ooh.
I met her at the stage door of Time Stands Still, and I cried like a baby. I did not gasp, but she touched my elbows, and she was the loveliest human being. And I just remember, like, when the last show she did was Little Foxes, and I literally would pass the stage door and be like, nope, can't do it. Not ready. Can't do it. And now she's coming back to Broadway in a show, so we'll see how that goes. And then the other one was one of the people in my life who I had to meet was Adam Pascal. And Adam Pascal was going to Pretty Woman for a week, and Kerrie, very nice and sacrificed her 2.5 hours of her life to see Pretty Woman with me. and I went to the stage door and I met Adam Pascal, and he was the loveliest person.
He's so nice.
I got him to sign his first ever CD. And Kerrie's better at explaining, like, how he acted.
Oh, he seemed so genuinely happy that you had that.
Yeah, and I was like, can you sign this? It was great. And then at the end, he even said, like, thanks, sweetie, to me.
Yeah.
And then I went across the street and hysterically cried.
It's all true.
I also have the photo of him framed sitting in my apartment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so nice.
He was...
Yeah.
The best.
He was.
Yes. Anyway, so what are your, like, top... So, like, I know, like, Playbill.com, sorry, another name drop, they always do, like, your top 10 theater-going experiences. Like, and I always think about what mine would be. Like, if I were ever to do it, like, what would my, like, the best thing I've ever seen on stage is? So I'll give you some examples of mine so you know what I'm talking about. So they always say, like, your top thing. So for me, obviously, it's Once, seeing Once. And I would talk about, like, first night of previews, seeing it off-Broadway. I've seen Once a total of 10 times. 3 times off-Broadway, 7 on, twice I saw for free. Because we won tickets.
Yes.
I won tickets and I took Kerrie. And we saw Marquetta in the show. Well, at the end. And then Natasha Pierre in The Great Comet of 1812, like, changed my life. So other theater-going experiences, I think, for me, would be... seeing Danny Burstein and Beth Level in The Drowsy Chaperone.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. Just like, if you have not seen The Drowsy Chaperone or you don't know what it is,
it's perfect.
Do yourself a favor and look into the show because you kind of forget how brilliant it is.
Yeah, everything about it.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Robbed of the Tony.
I think there was a year of Jersey Boys.
Yeah.
Jersey Boys was great, though. I love
Jersey Boys.
Yeah, I mean... Whatever. Anyway, so I think also for me would be... Now I can't remember what they are. I mean, obviously, I think probably the Light in the Piazza reunion concert because I never saw the original cast. And I always cry at Piazza. Like, the intro music, like, at the end when she goes, Clara, the Lord, and the... Like, bawl.
Yeah.
Bawl like a baby. So I just remember going to the revival... you know what? I hope they don't bring this, like, touring revival that they're doing to Broadway. And I say this as, like, a Light in the Piazza purist, because I thought the show was so perfect. Like, I don't care if you have, like, you know... Well, I mean, unless it was the original cast coming back, but I don't care if you have, like, Laura Linney playing Margaret Johnson. Like, you should not touch that show.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah. But I just remember with the revival, Kelly O'Hara, after she sang Light in the Piazza, people... I mean, it wasn't a standing ovation, but people, like, for a solid 2 minutes kept applauding.
Yeah.
And then there's another one I would say would be Liev Schreiber and Talk Radio.
Oh, God.
I don't remember that much about it, but I do remember having a moment being like, oh... So that's what acting is.
Right, yeah, he was incredible in that.
You know? I don't think he won the Tony for it, though.
I don't think so either. Yeah. Not a lot of people saw it either, yeah.
Well, another thing I will say is, I mean, I was 8, I think, at the time, and nobody I know, like, Kerrie is jealous of this, was I saw Julie Andrews on Broadway. And not many people I know could be like...
Yeah, that's huge.
I saw Julie Andrews on Broadway. So there's just that, and I'm like brain farting on other ones right now.
I know.
But, and Brief Encounter, the play.
Oh, Brief Encounter.
That show was so brilliant and magical, and it is, I don't even think, I have a show poster, it was on my wall. Oh, and now they're coming back, The History Boys, changed my life. You know, for those who don't know what The History Boys is, it came out like 12, 13 years ago. It had James Corden in it, Dominic Cooper, Russell Tovey, Jamie Parker, who originated the role and won the Olivier for playing Harry Potter. Like, it has a pretty stellar cast.
Yeah.
And I saw that show, I think maybe like 10 times on Broadway within like a month.
Yeah.
Before it closed. And like, I think Russell Tovey knew who I was. Yeah. But like, those as of right now, off the top of my head, are like my top going theater experiences. Oh, and Audra McDonald and Lady Day at Emerson Bartonville. I literally called my mom after the show and I was like, that is a masterclass in acting.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
So, the most important theater going experience to this day is what everyone now knows is Next to Normal. It was when I saw Feeling Electric. that like legitimately changed my life.
That's when you saw with Amy Spanger and
Yeah.
Emily Ashford.
Yeah. And Anthony Rapp. God, what the hell was a doctor? Because I just moved to New York. We were freshmen at Pace, and me and my friend at the time, Katie Carter, were like looking at the New York Music Theater Festival listings, and we were like, oh, Anthony Rapp is in this. Let's go see this. And it was like the most mind-blowing thing I'd ever seen.
I remember seeing it at Second Stage, and then they actually changed a lot of it for Broadway.
Yeah. And I still loved it. Like,
yeah, you sang a song from it for
my senior showcase. Yeah, I sang "I Miss the Mountains." That is. And I hate
party time from Brooklyn. It's the
true.
only song I know from Brooklyn.
Yeah, me too.
Never saw Brooklyn the musical.
Not good.
Just live your life.
And I hate that the fan base for Next to Normal is kind of obnoxious because I want to be like, but don't you know how important this is?
Well, I feel like that's for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's, once a show becomes mainstream, it doesn't...
Right.
I mean, I think with Be More Chill, they had a fan base before it came to Broadway, but I'm also, like, I'm in my 30s, guys. We're in our 30s, and... I think if we were of that age, we'd probably be obsessed with it and, all that.
Yeah,
and
probably.
I feel like now, what's interesting? I was thinking about this the other day. So I am off on Wednesdays. So I tend to go do like a matinee show. And you have a lot of the older people go see matinees and they're always complaining about a long bathroom line, which I think is kind of funny because like a Wednesday matinee, you should know. And I was also thinking about like the newer type of shows that are on Broadway or off Broadway that are a little bit more like Spring Awakening when it came out for the first time, that was like groundbreaking. But it came out now, it wouldn't be the same. So my thing is like, well, what if you had a show like, in 30, 40 years from now when we're going to shows still, are we going to feel how these people feel now about like, maybe like Jagged Little Pill,
right?
Or the revival of Oklahoma. Like, are we going to feel that way, or are we going to be like more open-minded?
Yeah.
Because when we were younger, we were used to those like groundbreaking type of musicals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my others, Once is one of mine as well.
Yeah.
Once is super important.
I will say though, like, so. For those who don't follow the podcast on Instagram, it's Theater Enthusiast and other thing. No, what is my podcast handle? It's Theater Enthusiast Podcast. It's on Instagram. You should follow it. Fun shenanigans to be had, I should say. But I Instagram storied like Steve Kazee singing a song from Once, which he like never does.
Yeah. Because
he'll sometimes go live and do songs, and people are like, do Once, and he did a song from Once, and I like Instagram storied it, and it said, please come back to Broadway. And he totally looked at my story, and I lost my mind. I didn't tell you this?
No!
Yeah. I lost my shit.
My God.
I was like, holy shit, Steve Kazee looked at my Instagram story. Yeah. But you should follow Theater Enthusiast Podcast on Instagram.
Absolutely.
I will say, like I mentioned, like an hour and a half ago, because that's how long we've been talking. It's very rough. I'm still working on a logo, but fun shenanigans to be had. So I feel like we are winding down with this podcast, though, because I feel like now we are just talking.
Indeed.
Yes, we're just talking about things. But is there anything else you want to like talk about or let the people out there know about like theater and what it's like to work in different things, or like how you got the job doing like the ticket concierging or like the marketing on the street?
Yeah. I would say if you want to do like fun little side jobs like that, Playbill.com's job section, that's where I found all of those.
We are also not being sponsored by Playbill.com or Broadway.com.
But give her money.
Yes, please.
But that's where I found all those side gigs. And what's fun about those jobs, I also, in addition to flyering and ticket concierging, I also sold Broadway tickets outside for about half a year. And what's fun, yeah.
Oh, no, I do remember that.
Yeah.
You had to take them up to, like, the Marriott.
I sure did.
I don't trust those things.
I mean, they were real tickets. But what's fun about those jobs is, like, there's such a community, especially out, like, on the streets. Because it's kind of a sucky job because the weather sucks. You still have to be out there. So there's a real community of people who work out there, which is really nice. Yeah, it's not like easy to stand outside all day, but it can be fun. I saw a lot of fun things in Times Square.
Yes, I can imagine. I mean, you met your husband out there too.
It's true. It's our New York story.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's important that if you still want to pursue theater or you love theater as much, there are definite ways to work in it. Like
For
I said, like I've done merch. I know a lot of Broadway ushers, mostly because my friend ushers and I've met her friends.
Yeah.
And I even know somebody who used to be a bartender at the theater, and now he is I haven't spoken to him in forever, but he's now a dresser at Hadestown.
That's so cool.
You know, because you can also make different connections just by working in theater, and you can kind of move up from there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and you can also, like, somebody I know, well, that's actually how he became a dresser, and somebody I know, like, was an usher, now they're like the receptionist at Drew Jampson.
Oh, cool.
You know, there's all different things to do.
Yeah, and all those people help Broadway shows to run. Like, you can't have a show without an usher.
There was something I wanted to talk about, but I forgot to write it down. So, because I was on that, like, Steve Kazee thing, because he, he looked at the Instagram story I posted about, like, come back to Broadway, Steve Kazee, which he has mentioned before that I think that some producers don't want to take a chance on him, because during once he actually vocally hurt his throat. So that's why he was out of the show. And a lot of people thought he had, like, a drug problem or something bad happened, because he's a big proponent of social media.
Yes.
And he was social media silent. So nobody knew what was going on. And then it came out that, like, he hurt his throat.
Right.
So I think he posted something on social media of, like, how producers won't take a chance on him with Broadway singing because, like, they're worried he'll hurt his throat.
Yeah.
But he did do the Pretty Woman musical in Chicago.
He did.
But he didn't do it on Broadway.
No.
For reasons that I've heard many reasons, but, you know, who knows what's true or not.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought, Kerrie. What were we talking about? Steve Kazee.
Steve Kazee,
yeah,
come back to Broadway.
Yeah, so I somehow stumbled upon the 2012 Tony Award show on YouTube. So I watched it, and that was the year Clybourne Park won.
Okay.
And I also did merch at Clybourne Park, and that show was absolutely incredible. And Jeremy Shamos, if you don't know who he is, please look into him, because he is incredible. And one of the things I put in the bucket was the Call Me By Your Name musical.
Oh.
Yeah, but you didn't pick it, so we can't cast it.
Okay.
But I think, like, Danny Burstein would be a good Mr. Perlman. But then it's like, you know who would be really good? Would be this actor, Jeremy Shamos, but I don't know if he can sing. But he would be great in that part. But there was something that, during his acceptance speech, Jordan Roth said about, you know, I want to think, like, the front of house, behind the house, and all of those things, because that's what makes theater run.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah. Every single person is necessary.
It is. But what are your feelings on theater etiquette?
I mean, just don't be an asshole, you know?
Like, turn off. I have such a huge...
Put your phone on silent. Don't unwrap
talk,
things. Right.
Don't talk during the show. Oh, I have another top theater going experience. The Ferryman. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the Ferryman.
I would love to play would be... I can't even think of the name right now, but Laura Donnelly played her. And I'm working on my Irish accent because of that show.
Nice.
That show is incredible. If you don't know it, look into it. I personally think it'd be a great movie. But that's just me.
Oh, I didn't say Company.
Oh, yeah.
Raoul and Company.
That's huge. What do you think about the new revival of Company?
I'm excited for it.
I'm very excited
I really like the concept of switching the genders, so I'm interested to see how they
What do you think
handle
about
it
Katrina
throughout
Lane
the show.
playing Bobby?
I think that she'll be great.
I think she's so sexy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. Like, I'm not into women, but, like, she is sexy.
No, she is, for sure.
I'm just curious to see how she's gonna play it. Is she gonna go more towards, like, the sexy? Is it gonna be more demure?
Yeah.
Because Rosaline Craig, I think her name is, who did it, like, I did not see it in London because I'm poor. So
Same.
Last time I was in London was, like, 2 years ago because somebody paid for me to go. Birthday present, guys. But, like, how her costume was and everything, I just don't know if they're going to do the same costume, because in the promo, she's either in, like, a red suit or she's in, like, a sexy red dress. But also, I think the promos for London, she was in a black suit.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm curious to see what they do. I mean, Patti LuPone is... Yeah. I wonder, maybe they'll just give her the Tony.
You might as well just give it to her now. She did... So I saw when they did the concert version with Neil Patrick Harris and Patti LuPone.
Yeah. Well, you can YouTube it.
Yeah, that too. But her Ladies of Lunch was, like, insane.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Yeah. Here's to the patties for lunch.
The people in the front row got, like, wet because she was, like, sloshing her drink all over the place. It was amazing.
Oh my god, that reminded me, like, when I saw Spring Awakening, towards the end of Jonathan Groff's run, he would just, like, spit when you were singing. So I remember, like, his final performance, my roommate and I were, like, sitting in the front row, and we looked to our left, and we were seeing the entire front row during Totally Fucked, kind of just, like, cringing because he was singing, and they were just getting, like, showered with Jonathan Groff spit, and we're just like, Jonathan Groff spit? That would be amazing.
Some people would pay for that.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Speaking of, like, Spring Awakening, I had a dream the other day that John Gallagher Jr. went on tour with Once.
Oh.
And when they announced that they were doing the musical of Once, I was like, John Gallagher Jr. should play the guy.
Yeah, God, that'd be such a good role for him.
But then, you know, it's interesting because I don't know how his voice would sound compared to, like...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel like he'd be good.
And Steve Kazee is just so good looking.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're just, like, thinking about Steve Kazee.
Steve Kazee.
Steve Kazee. All right, guys. So I think we're coming to a closing now. An hour and 40 minutes later. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the first ever podcast or in our test run of the Theater Enthusiast and Other Things podcast. Hopefully, as the show goes on, maybe it won't be as long. Maybe it'll be longer. Maybe it'll be the same length. And we might talk about other things too. So don't forget to follow us at Theater Enthusiast Podcast on Instagram. You can always DM about questions or who you think we should have on the show. I will say, for the record, I don't know any, like, well-known Broadway people who are currently on Broadway. I just know a lot of ushers. I know some people from college who are working on stuff. So that's who I want to have on the show right now. And hopefully as the show progresses, we might have some well-known people. I know that there's some people who I would dream to have on this podcast. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you continue listening. And Kerrie, anything you would like to end with?
Neil.
For a second, I thought you meant, like, Neil Patrick Harris. Because we literally just talked about him. Isn't it... Does he say Neil or just Neil first?
He says Neil first.
Neil. And then just Neil.
Oh my god.
I like how we should end every podcast
yes!
with a reference to Fleabag.
Yes, agreed.
Only if you're ever on, because I don't think anybody else would get the reference to it.
But they should.
Neil. All right, on that being said, Neil.
Just
have a good
Neil.
one, guys.